Hi, Chris here with Tune a Day Original Series, Lesson 9, and this is Exercise 7, which is Merrily We Roll Along. We're still in the upper register here with F sharp, E and D, and that's about it. We've got commas where to breathe, and we have a tie near the end. We've also got some rests. It's a piece we know well. It's not that easy to play though, because there's a lot of notes and we've got to get them all in. Shall we have a go? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Popular song, we all know it well. There's a comma in a funny place in this one. Did you notice it? So this one, where are we? This one here makes sense. Dee 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 dee, breathe. Dee 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 dee, breathe. It's a rest. We breathe on the rest. Dee 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 dee, breathe. Dee 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 dee. So the comma is between beats 3 and beats 4. That's all to do with the words. If you think of how you would sing it, that F sharp after the comma, it belongs to the E, F sharp, E, D. It doesn't belong to the 3 F sharps before. It depends on the words. If you know this piece, the words make such a difference. So if we just look at that section, if we play the F sharp with the other 4, you sing the words along with it, that doesn't work. Merrily we roll along, roll along, roll along. Merrily we roll along, or in the deep blue sea, or over the deep blue sea. I hope that helps. It feels a little strange to breathe one note early for me. First time I did it, I was like, oh, that feels a bit awkward. But it makes sense when it comes to the phrasing, which we haven't really covered yet. We'll cover it in a little while. Anyway, join me in the next exercise for exercise 8 in the next video. See you next time.